I am Brother Dan.
I'm Sister Lisa.
And this is the season finale of Siblings in Zion. We made it.
Have we ever? We've had a season finale before.
We have, after the first one. Yeah. Which was
Season
about a year ago.
number 2.
We started season 2 like right around the time that all of this started to unfold massively. And I think in March
You're right.
when
It
started.
Came home. We were like, oh, we can do this in person.
Yeah.
And that's better. So
Yeah.
let's just do that.
And then we took a good long break because shit just got out of control.
And no
everywhere.
one needed to hear us talk about it.
And there was plenty of other things to think about and be concerned with.
It doesn't matter.
But
now it does.
Yeah. I mean, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
It
and
does.
I'm glad we were able to get back into it and we can finish the year as well, strong with this episode that I've wanted to do for a while. So earlier this year, I read a book. Okay.
I read a book. Okay.
All right. It's called The Universal Christ by Richard Rohr.
We have mentioned it before. We've talked about it.
We have. Yeah, we said that we were going to do it, and now we're doing it.
Wow.
We're doing it.
Goals.
So the full title is The Universal Christ, How a Forgotten Reality Can Change Everything We See, Hope For, and Believe. So Richard Rohr is someone who I was turned on to, I think pretty much through Pete Holmes.
Yeah, he's
and
talked
his
about him a lot.
admiration of him.
Yeah.
And I heard him on his podcast.
Ooh.
I loved his vibe. I loved his energy. I loved the way he talked. I loved the way that he was so open.
A Christian?
Yeah. He was so reasonable and called out unnecessary and sometimes destructive and obstructive and ridiculous things about Christianity at large and religion at large. And just, this isn't what it is. And you shouldn't be bringing that into this. It's way more simple than that. But it's also bigger than you're making it. It's not about you. It's not about your congregation or your sect, your religion. It's not about your country. It's not about your language, your artist rendering of Jesus. It's way, way bigger than that. So that's pretty much what this book is about and what I got from it.
That sounds like an important book.
I think the first chapter is called Christ is Not Jesus' Last Name, which is such a simple, true statement that most people...
Jesus Christ.
that most people just don't think about or really think like his name is Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
It's not. There's Jesus the man, and there's the bigger, broader, whole, you can call it the Christ mystery, the Christ energy, the universal Christness of everything.
Fleshing out the title. I like it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. One of the basic ideas is that Jesus is God's manifestation in the physical world, and Christ is everything from the beginning, all living things.
Christ is God.
So Richard Rohr is a Franciscan friar. He's of the Catholic tradition. So Jesus would be God in the flesh.
The typical Trinitarian view of
I don't know that it's
the Godhead.
Yeah, but in Mormonism, God and Christ,
separate people,
and the Holy Ghost, all separate individuals working together. They are not one.
Correct.
God has a physical body, the best.
The best human 2.0.
But Christ
without blood.
Jesus would no blood necessary. Jesus, the man in time, would be the merging of God and his creation of life.
Got it.
Physical life. And one distinction that he makes is everything and everything.
I liked that.
Me too.
That footnote.
This is where I'm starting. So this is why the title for part 1 of this book says everything instead of everything. Because I believe the Christ mystery specifically applies to thingness, materiality, physicality. I do not think of concepts and ideas as Christ. They might well communicate the Christ mystery, as I will try to do here, but Christ, for me, refers to ideas that have specifically become flesh, as in John 1:14. You are surely free to disagree with me on that, but at least you know where I'm coming from in my use of the word Christ in this book, which makes a whole lot more sense to me. And I think this will become a recurring theme, but Christ can be a name for the thing that we talk about, like everything is one thing. And it's all connected, all living things, the universe, the force that moves life through all things, you could call Christ.
A name for the
Yeah.
interconnectedness of all things.
As Jesus himself says, do not believe those who say, Lord, Lord. He says it is those who do it right that matter, not those who say it right. Yet verbal orthodoxy has been Christianity's preoccupation, at times even allowing us to burn people at the stake for not saying it right. This is what happens when we focus solely on an exclusive Jesus, on having a personal relationship with him, and on what he can do to save you and me from some eternal fiery torment. For the first 2,000 years of Christianity, we framed our faith in terms of a problem and a threat. But if you believe Jesus' main purpose is to provide a means of personal, individual salvation, it is all too easy to think that he doesn't have anything to do with human history, with war or injustice, or destruction of nature, or anything that contradicts our ego's desires or our cultural biases. We ended up spreading our national cultures under the rubric of Jesus instead of a universally liberating message under the name of Christ. What do you think about that?
Well, of course, I relate everything to Mormonism.
That's our jumping off point here.
And that whole idea of a personal relationship.
Sure.
But on the other hand, Mormons only have a personal relationship with Christ when they're talking about the atonement, like when it matters about what they've done wrong.
Yeah.
Not, I'm connected to the whole universe.
Right.
Through Christ.
Because if Jesus, or as Jehovah, made all things under the direction of God, he made all things. It's all one system. If we care about anything, we're supposed to care about everything, you would think. It should all have been constructed and laid out and a part of the whole thing for a reason. And yet we eat living things all the time. We grow purposefully living things to eat them because we don't care about them.
Yeah.
Even though they would have originated just the same way we did.
And we decide
through whatever process that was.
This one's more important.
Yeah. We have souls.
Than this one.
Pigs don't, but cats do, so we don't eat those. And dogs do, and they will be in heaven with us. But
and they're smart and they're cute.
Yeah.
So.
But bugs and tarantulas.
Bats and cockroaches.
They will not.
No.
They're probably Satan. It's probably all Satan.
Probably. One last idea on that is the spreading our national culture.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about just spreading the formula across the world. The American and the Mormon agenda.
Yeah.
We're not sharing the message of Jesus Christ. We're selling you a lifestyle.
And you, too, can become white and delightsome.
Just with the
for the low price.
The low price of you 10% of your income.
Forever.
And always.
Give us that before you do anything else.
Next section.
Christ is God, and Jesus is the Christ's historical manifestation in time. Jesus is a third someone, not just God and not just man, but God and human together. Which, I mean, if that was true, that seems like an easier pill to swallow.
That they're all the same thing.
That Jesus was God's chosen opportunity to reveal himself among his creation.
Yeah.
Not that Jesus is his only begotten son and he is separate from him and he's another God.
Yeah, I guess so. It wouldn't fit with Mormon theology.
Of course not.
With the whole, this is how you become like God.
It would in the original printing of the Book of Mormon.
Right.
For at least 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Before Joseph Smith changed his mind.
I do like this take on it. It seems more compassionate.
Yeah.
That God would do it himself.
Everything about this book and the general thesis is far more compassionate than any Christianity that I've known. And I take to it a lot better.
Yeah. It does seem a lot more real.
Yeah.
And the idea
Practical.
that God sent his son to be an example for how to become like him is now the Mormon message.
And it doesn't make any sense that it would become so difficult to find that there is a right path, and it would be so difficult to find it among so many paths to be taken.
Yeah.
Under so many different men and their ideas about what God is and what you should be to God, that it's just completely discombobulated.
It should be
much simpler.
Accessible to everyone.
If it was real.
If it was real, it should be real.
If it was real, I think it should be real.
I think it should be real.
In Jesus Christ, God's own broad, deep, and all-inclusive worldview is made available to us. This also makes sense to me.
How so?
So the world no longer trusts Christians who love Jesus, but do not seem to love anything else.
They just
is the
love
sentence
Christianity.
Before. Yeah. They don't love their fellow man.
Yeah.
They don't love the brown ones. They don't love the gay ones.
Right.
They don't love the Arab ones.
No.
But they love Jesus, who created them all.
Yeah.
And the trees around them and the animals crawling at their ankles.
Meh.
And towering above them. No, God created us and we're all that we care about. And we do what the King James Bible says.
Christianity in isolation.
Yeah.
And prejudice.
Yes, plenty of it. Under the guise of morality and ethics.
Yeah. Superiority.
It's truly baffling to me a lot of the time that it is just so contradictory and ironic the way that Christians behave outwardly. And it really opposes what you can read in the New Testament as Christ's message or Jesus's message.
Is pious a word that has a connotation of meaning holier than thou? Or does it really...
I think it means...
Can it be sincere?
Yes. I think that's why Dan Vogel calls Joseph Smith a pious fraud. A sincere in his claim or sincere in his belief that he was doing the work of God, but he was not. And he was a fraud in that.
Yeah. Okay. I
think that's a very generous
I think that
term
is a
to give
very
him.
generous view.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a professor that said that Mormons and people who are pious in the way that's not flattering is nauseating. People who think that they're better than you because of what they believe.
A mature Christian sees Christ in everything and everyone else. That is a definition that will never fail you, always demand more of you, and give you no reasons to fight, exclude, or reject anyone.
I like that.
I mean...
Inclusion.
Right. Isn't that ironic? The point of the Christian life is not to distinguish oneself from the ungodly, but to stand in radical solidarity with everyone and everything else. This is the full, final, and intended effect of the incarnation, symbolized by its finality in the cross, which is God's great act of solidarity instead of judgment.
I'm with you, I'm for you, I'm not above you.
This is for you.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Come on. The ultimate sacrifice.
The only thing he excluded was exclusion itself. I love that. You don't have to be a Christian scholar to realize that that was a central message.
And to put that into practice in your own life.
Exactly. As one would if they were
a Christian,
a true Christian,
a follower of Christ.
Right. And his example. He follows that with, do check me out on that, and you might see that I am correct. And I agree.
Yeah, it's way easier to just be kind to people.
And you don't need a church to go to every week.
No.
With a pastor to listen to, or a bishop, or any of the iterations of leaders above you, talking down to you, interpreting things for you so that you might understand
scripture
them.
is in Latin, so I'm only allowed to read it.
Yeah.
And I will tell you what it says. Well, that's how it used to be.
When people could not read or write.
Exactly.
And the only people that
that's
could
my point.
That's my point.
That's exactly my point.
Well, people kind of still treat it like that. That's why in Mormonism, I was taught a sliver of the Book of Mormon, of the Doctrine and Covenants, of the Pearl of Great Price, of the teachings of Joseph Smith, of the Bible, just a fraction of all of that distilled into this one small cup that you must drink from that includes Nephi, Alma, Moroni, Joseph Smith, Jesus Christ, of course.
All the good stories.
Of course. Abraham, Moses, but just these few nuggets repeated over and over and over again.
Yeah. Like watching the same episodes on television of one TV show. It's just like, I've seen this one 11 times.
What happens in this? That's real.
It's real. It's
very
Mormonism
real.
in syndication.
Yeah. That's why they got to have manuals. So everybody can be learning the same thing over and over and over again.
Come follow me.
Yeah, but not really. Take the sacrament, pay your tithing.
Buy your social image.
Yeah. Wear your garments because people are going to know if you aren't.
Play your part.
That's a problem.
Lift where you stand.
When Mitt Romney
I'm just
got
saying things now.
When Mitt Romney got his vaccination shot, he had his sleeve rolled up. There's a lot of, I don't see any garment lines. What's happening? Mitt? Buddy?
All right, read to me.
Okay. To be loved by Jesus enlarges our heart capacity. To be loved by the Christ enlarges our mental capacity. We need both a Jesus and a Christ, in my opinion, to get the full picture. A truly transformative God for both the individual and history needs to be experienced as both personal and universal. Nothing less will fully work. If the overly personal, even sentimental Jesus has shown itself to have severe limitations and problems, it is because this Jesus was not also universal. He became cozy and we lost the cosmic. History has clearly shown that the worship of Jesus without worship of Christ invariably becomes a time and culture-bound religion. And that is very important. A time and culture-bound religion, which has happened over and over again. Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, on and on. Often ethnic or even implicitly racist, which excludes much of humanity from God's embrace. Again, so basic in its truth and so lacking in its application. This is a lot of why I can't get on board with the versions of Christianity that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It is so exclusive that it's
us against
head
them.
spinning. Yeah.
What did you say? Head spinning? Yeah.
I fully believe, however, that there has never been a single soul who was not possessed by the Christ, even in the ages when Jesus was not. Why would you want your religion or your God to be any smaller than that? And one of the things that I don't know if I've marked passages including this, but it's like Jesus showed up 2,000 years ago. But he acknowledges the fact that the earth, the world, the universe has been around for billions and billions of years.
And what about them?
And what about all the humans who have lived for several 100,000 years?
But Mormons would be like, but we have baptisms for the dead.
Yeah, we're going to baptize all of them. It's going to be fine.
It's fine. We've already thought about this, God.
But you really think that God had made all of this so long ago and didn't care to be involved until we got to 2,000 years ago?
Mm-hmm. It just got interesting then. He was like, oh, what?
Oh, they're still here?
Oh no, all the dinosaurs are gone.
Oh, ish. What happened?
I missed it.
Oh, we lost track of those meteorites.
Oh, God.
They slammed right into the earth and just blew them to smithereens.
I'm going to have to start
We're going to have to start over. We got to
keep a track.
What's plan B? What else we got?
Oh, Jesus. Here am I, send me.
Divine perfection is precisely the ability to include what seems like imperfection. Before we come inside to pray, work, or teach any theology, its giant presence has already spoken a silent sermon over us. Have you ever had an encounter like this in nature? Perhaps for you, it occurred at a lake or by the seashore, hiking in the mountains, in a garden, listening to a mourning dove, even at a busy street corner. I am convinced that when received, such innate theology grows us, expands us, and enlightens us almost effortlessly. All other God talk seems artificial and heady in comparison. So if you remember when we were talking about feeling the Spirit.
Yeah, you shared that experience at the beach.
I was on an outcropping, surrounded by the ocean, and the wind, the sea breeze at quite a high velocity. And I closed my eyes and just listened and was still. And it felt like that breeze was going right through me and that I was just part of it. And if it was that simple to just call that God, call that Christ, it's fine with me.
Great.
If it's just language.
Yeah.
Do I have to believe that Jesus died and was resurrected?
Yes.
Oh, well, then I don't. Do I have to believe that he cares what I wear, what I drink?
If you have a beard.
If I have long hair? If I kiss anyone before I'm 16 years old? or go on dates, or
if you drink wine,
or hot drinks, or think anything, or
anything. Stop thinking.
would the creator of all of those things and my mind to experience and interpret them really care about that minutia? Or does that obviously seem like a construct of human beings lording over people
And
in the
putting
name
you in a box.
of God?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
This seems so much simpler.
Mm-hmm.
And so much more real. Because that was a very effective thing for me. If I believed that it was all determined and created by another being outside of me and outside of the life that we can see, that I could totally attribute that as an experience that I should thank the creator for.
You should kneel down in a forest and pray to him, and then he might appear to you in a pillar of light exactly over your head, as bright as the sun in noonday.
I see. That'd be pretty cool.
Him fell around him.
And Lisa sings for the first time in the episode.
It's not the first time.
And it won't be the last.
And it won't be the last. What's the word?
Want to eat a cinnamon roll?
I digress. That's what I meant.
Yes.
I digress. Yes, nature is powerful.
Super powerful.
And
we're moving on.
And we're moving on.
When we start with a theology of sin management administered by a too often elite clergy, we end up with the schizophrenic religion. We end up with the Jesus who was merciful while on earth, but who punishes in the next world, who forgives here, but not later. God in this picture seems whimsical and untrustworthy, even to the casual observer. It may be scary for Christians to admit these outcomes to ourselves, but we must. I believe this is a key reason why people do not so much react against the Christian storyline like they used to. Instead, they simply refuse to take it seriously. And I feel like that's what I've been saying. It's very difficult to take it seriously because it's so ridiculous.
It just seems like just a story, a silly fable.
Just like all the other ones that Christians reject.
All made up.
To begin climbing out of the hole of original sin, we must start with a positive and generous cosmic vision. Generosity tends to feed on itself. I have never met a truly compassionate or loving human being who did not have a foundational and even deep trust in the inherent goodness of human nature. The Christian storyline must start with a positive and overarching vision for humanity and for history, or it will never get beyond the primitive, exclusionary, and fear-based stages of most early human development. We are ready for a major course correction. Amen to that.
It does seem like something beautiful has become laughable.
Yeah.
And people don't even listen to you.
Right. Unless they're already conditioned to.
Yeah. They just think, oh, you're crazy.
Well, you sound ridiculous. So, moving on. Nothing to see here.
Except cinnamon rolls.
I think Lisa needs to eat some cinnamon rolls.
I do.
I think we need to take a break.
I did. I created this thing and I need it to be a part of me.
It needs to be in me.
We need to be one.
And we're going to pause for this cinnamon roll. And then we'll be right back on Siblings Inside.
Oh, where were we?
Jesus.
After I satisfied my sugar craving.
That was pretty good.
My addiction to sugar began as a small child. Growing up
in the Mormon church.
In the Mormon church in America.
We are back for my cinnamon roll sabbatical.
They're vegan, by the way.
Everyone.
Okay.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing.
Chill out. I don't want to hear it in the comments.
Shut up.
Don't at me,
bro.
Don't
even go there.
Okay. God does not come uninvited. God and grace cannot enter without an opening from our side, or we would be mere robots. God does not want robots, but lovers who freely choose to love in return for love. And toward that supreme end, God seems quite willing to wait, cajole, and entice. In other words, we matter. We do have to choose to trust reality and even our physicality, which is to finally trust ourselves. Our readiness to not trust ourselves is surely one of our recurring sins. Yet so many sermons tell us to never trust ourselves, to only trust God. That is far too dualistic. How can a person who does not trust himself know how to trust at all? Trust, like love, is of one piece.
Wait, before you read this last part, I feel like that last sentence could be its own thing. I read this paragraph, and in my head, after reading, how can a person who does not trust himself know how to trust at all? I literally said out loud, oh my God. Because just in the last couple of days, this is really, really clicked into place for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finally accepted that as a truth in my life. How can I do anything if I don't trust myself and I don't value my opinion?
Yeah.
And put everyone else's cares before mine.
Yeah.
I mean, as a woman in the LDS church, I've been conditioned to please other people.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess you kind of have to earn your own trust in a way.
Profound.
Like you make decisions based on
your intuition.
Well, your intuition coupled with
information
results that you've had, information you received. It snowballs. This has worked. This has equaled this before, and then it equaled this again. You're playing the odds. That's really all we can do as we go day to day and year to year.
It's always a gamble.
But if you continually learn to trust yourself only as far as you reasonably can, and then also trust yourself to know when you can recognize that you're wrong.
Yes.
And course correct. And really that's just point blank honesty.
Don't lie to me.
Yeah. Don't lie to me.
Me.
Yeah. Speaking to others and to yourself. Hey, me, don't lie to me.
Honesty is seriously, there's a reason they say it's the best policy. It is liberating.
Seriously.
To say what you want to say. It's changed my life.
Check it out. Honesty.
I recommend.
Look it up.
10 out of 10 stars.
Okay, so where did I leave off? How can a person who does not trust himself know how to trust at all? Trust, like love, is of one piece. By the way, at this point in history, quote-unquote trust is probably a much more helpful and descriptive word than quote-unquote faith, a notion that has become far too misused, intellectualized, and even banal. And this is what I've been saying for a long time.
You have. You even told our grandmother that.
You trust that this is true. You believe that this is true.
So what's faith?
Faith is kind of saying, I don't need to really know anything, I think. I just have faith that what I've been told my whole life is good enough. But like he's saying, faith is just too misused. It's just not sufficient, I want to say. You just got to have faith. You just got to have faith.
Like that's the only thing you need.
Right. Exactly.
No information, no facts.
Because trust can be used from multiple angles. Like I trust myself. I trust my understanding of basic, rational, logical things that continually are shown to be what is real. I trust that the earth is a sphere.
The earth?
It's round.
The earth?
I don't need to have faith in that. I trust the science that we've come to from far beyond where we were when we thought the earth was flat. And we figured it out. We were way wrong.
Some of us.
Well, some of us decided that we just need to not trust anything except what cannot be proven.
Yeah.
It's the global circumferential circle. You think you're going in a straight line, but you turn. You slightly turn. That's what's happening. I just love that he points that out. I love how just straight, and he's talking to people like, look, I know it could be difficult for some people, but you just gotta get it together.
Get it together.
Just be reasonable.
Folks.
If you want to be taken seriously as a Christian, evolution does not need to be thrown out in favor of a creation story.
Or just explained away. I was taught evolution at BYU, Idaho.
If we were evolved from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys, huh?
Huh? Tell me that.
Tell me that much.
Huh? Tell me what?
Well, you don't get the theory of evolution, if that's what you think that it is.
Sounds like you dumb.
Sounds like you might be dumb. I know that he says this and it's in here somewhere, but it's apparent that the purpose of creation involves our evolution, life's evolution. It's a part of his design, of their design.
I mean,
I don't like gendering God either, but
sure. Isn't that the whole idea? That you're in an eternal progression?
Right.
Like that your soul is evolving? Why wouldn't his creations evolve?
I
mean, follow your own line of logic.
Come on.
Huh?
Do you like your dog? It used to be a wolf. Okay. They didn't create dogs.
Woof.
God may have created one living thing, or like the spark, the foundation of a living thing, and it became all living things. What's so wrong with that? That eventually we got two human beings that can talk about this and think about this, intellectualize it. Think about thinking. Know that you are thinking. Understand that thoughts are thoughts, and you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness of a thought.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of the middle of the book that gets into more of like biblical examinations and crucifixion and resurrection, things like this. So I was really drawn in like the first 70 pages. I just kind of went with it. And then I think this is the last thing that I noted to talk about.
Really blew your mind?
A lot of it was like, I like the way he's going about this.
Hey, I like this guy.
I like this guy.
Hey.
The incarnational worldview grounds Christian holiness in objective and ontological reality instead of just moral behavior. This is its big payoff. Yet, this is the important leap that most have not yet made. Those who have can feel as holy in a hospital bed or a tavern as in a chapel. They can see Christ in the disfigured and broken as much as the so-called perfect or attractive. They can love and forgive themselves in all imperfect things because all carry the imago Dei equally, even if not perfectly.
Does that mean the image of God?
I think so. Incarnational Christ consciousness will normally move toward direct social, practical, and immediate implications. It is never an abstraction or a theory. It is not a mere pleasing ideology. If it is truly incarnational Christianity, then it is always hands-on religion and not solely esotericism, belief systems, or priestly meditation. The essential gospel of God's loving union with all of creation from the beginning was seldom believed and usually actively denied or ignored by most clergy. One wonders, and I do not mean this cynically, if it had a lot to do with job security. We clergy were the needed mediators and salesmen in the other three worldviews, but not so much in the incarnational view. Thus, most clergy do not see nature as quote-unquote the first Bible, but emphasize the much later version written in the last nanosecond of geological time and then called the only Word of God. Yet those very scriptures say that the Word was from the beginning and that the Word was always identified with Christ, which in time became flesh and lived among us. Saint Bonaventure believed that every creature is a Word of God, and this was the first book of the Bible.
I like the idea of hands-on religion because that's the moment where it is incorporated into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Not just something that you get together to talk about on Sunday and prove that you understand.
Signify about.
Yeah.
Like, I am part of this. Look at me. I'm here. See me as a participant. See me as doing good. See me doing works.
We were driving the other day and there was graffiti. There was a picture of a man and a quote attributed to him. I don't remember who it was though.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "I can't believe what you say because I see what you do."
Mm.
And for people who truly live religion, I feel like the opposite of that applies.
Yeah.
I believe you because I see what you're doing.
Yeah, that's great.
It should be an everyday reality.
I mean, how many times have you seen news stories about clergymen of all sorts being arrested for doing exactly what they preach against? Doing drugs, prostitution, homosexuality, and how many times, I mean, in just the last year or two, The amount of news stories I've seen about bishops being involved in sexual misconduct is astonishing to me.
Because it's in their head, not in their heart.
Right. Do as I say, not as I do. And so many of them are arrested way too late because they've been doing it for such a long time. And the first line of defense, the first line
is the Mormon lawyers?
Yes. We don't call the police. We talk to the bishop who sends it upward within the church.
As Mormons, it's all about keeping up appearances. We don't want to admit that we've done something wrong or hurt other people. It's a keeping up with the Joneses religion.
Yeah. Probably the most.
Like that. What's that called? That documentary about that girl hidden in plain sight or something? Abducted in plain sight?
Abducted in plain sight, yeah. Yeah, that was really crazy.
Yeah, that's a really bizarre story.
And our pals Mary and Shelley at Latter-day Lesbian Podcast interviewed the subject of that documentary, the young lady who was abducted in plain sight.
They did, and that's why I ended up watching the documentary.
Is that right?
Also, our listeners should head on over to LDL to listen soon to an up-and-coming interview with our Here Leave It in Dan.
That was my segue.
Clever.
Yeah, so just the other day, I had a virtual meetup with Mary and Shelley. We had a great conversation.
A lovely little chit-chat.
We had a chit-chat. It was loosey-goosey, and we just...
They seem like some loosey-goosey gals.
It was fun. I'm glad I got to do that. And
that was really nice of them.
And afterwards, I was like, oh man, there's so many things that I wish I would have remembered to incorporate.
Yeah.
And
natural.
Maybe we'll get to do it again sometime, or maybe we'll have them on our show sometime.
Hey!
But it was great, and that episode will come out probably a couple weeks after this one does.
Y'all should check it out.
It'll be sometime in January. And when it does, I'll amend our show notes with the link directly to it. And if you have for some reason never heard Latter-day Lesbian, check it out. It's fantastic.
It is really good.
It's been an absolute joy for me to work on that show. It's been the perfect cross-section of what I do as a chosen profession and my history as a Mormon and my current
passion, obsession,
somewhat with examining it and breaking it down.
And being inclusive to all people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've learned quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
Listening to them as well.
Yeah.
And their guests.
So lovely. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up from the Universal Christ?
For a book called The Universal Christ, I really enjoyed it. You know?
Yeah. Well said.
I really appreciate Richard Rohr. I really appreciate his voice in the Christian community. I think it's really important. Especially when I'm spending so much time in the headspace in the community of not Christianity.
Right.
Breaking down religions of all sorts, atheism, to appreciate a voice who is saying, this is Christ, but talking about things that I'm also recognizing as understandably universal to living things and to consciousness and awareness. I can shake hands with that.
I appreciate you sharing that. I also listened to Mormon Stories episode called Enjoying Christmas After a Mormon Faith Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into great detail, but I just wanted to say that it really helped me prepare to see our family
nice
for Christmas.
I did notice a shift in your attitude towards doing that.
Yeah, for lots of reasons, but...
Yeah. Well, for one, you tested negative for COVID-19.
For one.
Finally.
Amazing what that will do for your sense of confidence. Whew. This podcast, though, just reminded me that everything is a myth. It's all about...
It's all stories.
It's all stories. And those stories are intended to help you create a connection with other people.
We can still appreciate the Christmas season. We can appreciate the mythical Santa Claus.
Sure.
For what he does to point everyone kind of in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
And while that may be comparatively a less important...
A secular vision.
Yeah. But it's also tied in to the Christian...
I mean, there's that ornament of Santa kneeling to the baby Jesus.
Oh, boy.
Jesus Christ.
Come on.
God.
But having Jesus as a representative, Christ as a figure that we might all look to as an example, is fine with me.
Yeah.
Universally. But
Sure.
for the most part, it is so the opposite.
Yes.
It is so pointed in different directions at this Jesus and this Jesus, that Jesus.
Yeah.
That, I mean, what's his name? Del Parsons? Is that the artist who painted that
the red
portrait?
robed Christ that was in our house our whole lives.
In every Mormon's house their whole lives.
Life? What?
And it's even,
I've had multiple lives.
I see it in sometimes like movies and TV shows that don't have anything to do with that.
Really?
Just as a Jesus portrait. Yeah.
Ugh.
And it is so antithetical to what the man Jesus would have looked like in that time and place.
Gordon B. Hinckley said, "Hey, that's him." That might be just a rumor. I don't know.
Hey, that's him. That's the guy.
Hey, I've seen him. I've seen him. That's what he looks like.
No, actually, that is the image that is pretty well known colloquially as Jesus on top of the artist's own face.
Oh,
have you ever seen the?
No, I have not seen.
There's an overlay of that portrait over a photo of the artist, and it's
one of his brothers works at BYU Idaho as an art teacher, and my friend who was only going there because of subsidized tuition. I loved him so much. He became one of my best friends that semester. He was in my FHE group, and he was the only person that was funny at all, that had any personality. He had a nose ring, and he said that teacher, he would have gotten him kicked out of school for having that.
Yeah.
And he would tuck it up into his nose when he had to go to his art class. And just what a prick. Like, what the hell? But I really loved that Mormon Stories podcast just because it reminded me, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than your issues with this topic.
Yeah.
If it's important to your family, you can find ways for it to be important to you still. Those people are more important than this myth. You know?
Also
your connection with them is more important than you being angry about your past. Whatever. You can get over it. You
and
can
hopefully
deal with it.
They can send it the same way.
Exactly. It shouldn't be divisive. It should be an opportunity to come closer together.
Yeah. And plus, you might get some money.
And plus, you might get lots of money. Our family's so generous, it's ridiculous.
It's true.
And I love them a lot.
Me too.
We're really lucky. And things are really only getting better on that subject.
You know, this could just be confirmation bias, but it seems like as you and I have been more open with them, they have been more open with us.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them who have had a long history of not being open with each other seem to have been more open with each other lately.
Funny how that works.
And no matter what the source of this is, I'm glad to see it.
Happy.
But we really are fortunate in that we are having this experience with them as we are doing something like this.
True. And that at least our sister listens to it on a regular basis.
I am going to tell our mother that I think this would be a good one to listen to.
Yeah. As long as you're fudging those swear words.
I will reverse the swears so that it goes isht and off. So that it's clean. PG-13 at the very least.
PG-13. This is a family show.
I mean, literally.
Hey, we're all about family. We're family. It's all about family.
It's all one.
We're all one.
That's my point.
I mean, if you see a picture of us, we basically look the same. You just have facial hair.
You think so?
No, not really. But
I don't think so.
That's kind of what I tell people. That's just my joke. Is like, oh, he's like me, but with a beard.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Like, oh, my brother looks just like me. We're like twins, but he has a beard. Derp. Derp, derp.
Well, this is the end of our second season of the show. I'm glad we made it this far.
Me too. It's been delightful.
I've enjoyed it. I enjoy that we get to have this moment like we're having right now between us.
Yeah.
But then the moment continues with other people.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Me too.
And it does give like a concise projection of what we talk about a lot outside of this to people that are our family that may listen, and it might give them more detailed perspective and understanding of how we really see things. And
more of a way to connect, just another opportunity. I know it benefits us. If it benefits other people in the process, even better.
That's right.
We hope y'all had merry holidays.
Holly jollies. And certainly we hope you have a happy new year, because we all know
Lord knows we need it.
this year was nothing of the sort. All kinds of not happy at all. Whoo! So we'll take a bit of a hiatus, but I don't know about you, but I have some ideas and plans for
you got ideas?
season 3
Oh.
that we'll get into.
That's nice.
I'm looking forward to it. We love you.
We love you.
You're good enough. You're smart enough.
You are strong.
And gosh darn it, people like you.
So get out there. Show them that
get
smile.
out there and do it.
You got
Go
it.
get them.
Yeah.
Be the change you want to see in the world. I'm Brother Dan.
I'm Sister Lisa.
This has been Siblings in Zion. We'll talk to you next year.
Sayonara.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Say goodbye in Chinese.
再见.
Here we go.